In the U.S., elections can be stolen, they have been stolen, and will continue to be stolen. Exit polls are one of the few means we have of capturing large-scale, mass-scale election fraud. Exit polls are surveys conducted as voters have just voted and are leaving the polling place. Voters are asked to fill out a confidential questionnaire, about 6 questions: who they voted for president, Senate, maybe one other election, their age, sex, and party identification. It takes about 20 seconds to fill out. Most voters are very happy to do it, and they fill this out, they fold the piece of paper, they deposit it in a box, completely anonymous and confidential. Now, in an election our size, there are loads of problems with U.S. elections. But of course, in a nation of 150 million voters, there are going to be some problems. And people point this out and say, well, problems are inevitable. So although we have a lot of evidence, anecdotal evidence of election problems, for example, people pushing a button trying to vote for Kerry and Bush's name turning up, how do we know that those are not just honest errors as opposed to systematic fraud? Exit polls are one of the few large-scale quantitative measures of what may be fraud. Exit polls really have been used around the world to verify the integrity of elections. Where elections are conducted with high degrees of integrity, where votes are cast on paper and counted by hand, exit polls inevitably correspond closely with actual voting official results. In elections where they don't match, we typically attribute it to fraud. And in fact, in 4 elections around the world over the past decade, in Serbia, in the Republic of Georgia, in the Ukraine, and in Peru, exit polls have been primary evidence by which elections have been overturned. The only real problem with exit polls before 2000 was that they were too accurate, and they allowed the media to predict who won an election before the polls even closed. That happened in 1980 when exit polls accurately predicted Reagan's decisive victory over Carter. Carter resigned even before the polls closed in California. As far as them becoming less accurate, that's an accusation made by the Republican Party in recent years. Ironically, in November 2004, at the same time that Ed Gillespie, chairman of the Republican Party, was saying exit polls no longer work, the Republican administration was using a poll that they paid for in the Ukraine to say that exit polls proved that the Ukrainian election was stolen. People have tried to discredit exit polls for one reason, because they don't match up with the count, and it showed that their candidate did not win an election fair and square. A big problem in 2004 was that the exit pollsters did not stand behind their results. There's a single exit poll conducted by a media consortium. There's no competition between the media. All 6 major media groups in this country combined to conduct a single exit poll, and then not only do they not report the results, they sit on them. We only knew about the exit poll discrepancy in 2004 because of a technological glitch that prevented them from, as they call it, correcting the results. It's not correcting anything. All it is, they're making their results conform with the official numbers, and thereby not letting the public know how people actually said they voted. I had a debate with the leader of this poll, Warren Matofsky, in 2005. And he announced in that debate one of the big improvements that the media poll was going to make in subsequent elections was that they would have absolutely no release of what they call early exit polls. That is, polls completed but not yet adjusted so as to conform with results. Not only that, they have sworn to secrecy, literally sworn to secrecy, anybody with access to those results, and quarantine them, and will be quarantining them throughout the day on election day until after the polls close and they release their adjusted, corrected, fixed results. Given this lack of a media exit poll, and we really have a lack, I mean, it's worse than not having a poll because all it does is legitimize official results that may in fact be completely fraudulent. So given this lack of any kind of reasonable poll, we are now conducting a 2008 national independent citizen-led exit poll. The name of our group is electionintegrity.org. I'm running it along with my partner, Ken Warren, one of the most experienced exit pollsters in the world. He's been doing these for 30 years. Unlike the media exit poll, our methods and our data and our entire processes are completely transparent. The data will be made available to the public, not in some fixed, altered form, but rather the actual survey data of how people said they voted in each of the elections we're covering. This exit poll will enable us to have a few very important general pieces of information. First, we'll know whether or not the will of the voters is reflected in the official results. We'll have a large-scale survey that says how people voted and those results in those same precincts. Second, we'll have comparative measures, so we'll know that if in fact some precincts have widely disparate differences between how people said they voted and official results, we'll know exactly what precincts that disparity happened in. And we can go there and we can investigate and see what happened in those precincts and maybe pinpoint specific instances of fraud. This poll will also allow us to just make that data available. So anybody who's interested in ascertaining how people said they voted can look up the results. We'll put it up by state, by polling place, by precinct. So any interested analyst, anyone who's interested in the numbers can go and download the data and do the studies for themselves. The organization is Election Integrity, website www.electionintegrity.org. Learn about the project, look us up, help however you can. Thanks.